During World Wars I and II, enemy submarines were sinking military and merchant ships of the Allied nations faster than they could be replaced. How best to combat this deadly menace has been a problem of major importance in the United States Navy's planning, and of the many methods suggested, the helicopter is regarded as the most potentially effective weapon. To procure the helicopter best suited for the purpose, Navy officials drew a rigid set of specifications and opened a design competition to all rotary wing manufacturers. Bell Aircraft was quick to accept the challenge, along with other helicopter manufacturers, and immediately went to work on an intensive design program which produced a configuration embodying all the characteristics demanded in the Navy specifications. These included compact size, with high rotor disc loadings to provide speed and range exceeding all existing models. Results of the Navy competition were announced on June 1st, 1950. Bell's design had been selected from more than a dozen models submitted by at least 7 other manufacturers. In 2.5 years of intensive work in designing, engineering, and fabrication, Bell Aircraft presented a highly successful new helicopter model, its first tandem rotorcraft. Complete facilities for production of the new helicopter were installed at Bell's Texas division. Jigs and fixtures designed and fabricated while the division was located in the Niagara frontier area of New York State have since been moved to the Texas location and are now performing their various functions. Here, the work of assembling a helicopter has its beginnings. 3 principal sections of the fuselage are made in separate assemblies, then joined together in a main splice fixture. Many of these sections are assembled at the former Globe Aircraft plant, which Bell first occupied in Texas and is currently utilizing as a supporting facility for helicopter production and other operations. Of the many parts that go into the Navy helicopter, an appreciable number are manufactured in Bell's own machine shop, foundry, press, and other departments. Outside contractors also supply needed items. The Model 61 is powered by Pratt & Whitney R2800 engines, those famed aircraft motors that have logged millions of trouble-free air miles in so many military and commercial planes. Much care is exercised in assembling parts of the Bell design transmission, so vitally important to the smooth operation of the helicopter. Upon completion of the first Navy helicopter, UHSL-1, a series of intensive tests was programmed. First of the ground tests, performed on July 31st, 1952, was an engine run. The helicopter, unlike fixed-wing aircraft, can be flight tested without the necessity of becoming actually airborne, and this was done, first with the forward rotor connected, then the aft rotor, and finally both. These tests took place in September and October of 1952, all in satisfactory fashion. Once the Navy helicopter had satisfactorily undergone the exhaustive ground tests, it was disassembled for inspection of all control, power, and drive components. Parts were subjected to exhaustive laboratory tests in addition to ground and flight trials, including the Magnaflux process, a liquid flooding which reveals any flaws in metal structure. On the final day of 1952, UHSL-1 moved under its own power for the first time, that test being primarily for the purpose of determining landing gear efficiency. March 3rd, 1953, saw the big UHSL-1 towed on its own gear to Fort Worth's International Airport for initial flight tests. This was a distance of 7.5 miles, considered sufficient to prove the roadability of the gear. On the following day, March 4th, XHSL-1 was prepared for flight, and after several high-speed taxi runs, took off for its aerial baptism. 4 of these test flights were made, each contributing additional information to Bell and Navy engineers. On successive days, several more flights were accomplished, all exceptionally successful. Declared completely satisfactory by Bell and Navy officials, the XHSL-1 now stands as among the latest contributions to aviation progress, ready to carry out its prescribed duties in helping to keep the seas clear of marauding submarine packs.